The gunman behind the horrific Annunciation Catholic Church shooting has been identified. He was born as Robert Westman, but when he was 17 years old, changed his name to Robin Weston. Now, in the aftermath of all of this, with 2 children dead and 17 others injured, a lot of people are wondering, what is the motive? Why did he do this? Well, we actually know the answer, or at least appear to know some of the answer, because of a manifesto that he actually posted here on YouTube. According to the New York Sun, online video allegedly shows Minneapolis shooter preparing to unleash terror in Catholic school. Now, I actually attempted to go view this video, but if you go there right now, it says video unavailable because YouTube has deleted the account associated with that video. But the Minneapolis police chief actually held a press conference and confirmed that, yes, this video exists. Here's him saying that.
So the question was on a possible motive and a relationship to the church or to the school. I have no information to share on a motive other than saying, again, that there was some sort of manifesto that was timed to come out on YouTube. It's been taken down, and our investigators are going through that to try and develop a motive from that. Additionally, there are these 3 search warrants happening in residential locations, and we may very well, find more information or writings that could give some sense to that, but we don't have that now. And I cannot confirm a relationship between the suspect or his family and this church at this time, but that's obviously something we're looking very closely at.
Now, the manifesto, the video, and footage of his weapons is actually fully available on X and Rumble as of the making of this video. I don't expect that those will be taken down like they were on YouTube. But I'm not personally going to put any of the manifesto on here. And if for those of you who are, like myself, who are curious and want to go check it out, I just want to say I tried to watch it and I couldn't even make it a minute. For those of you who are religious and believe in a higher power, believe in a human soul, you watch the videos, it is very clear he is deranged, sick, he's laughing, making these weird noises, and you can just tell you are watching something, a video filmed by literal evil. For anyone who's curious, I was curious too, and I regret listening, and I wish I could erase the laugh from my head. And so I would just encourage you, hey, maybe give it a second thought. Now, the reason I wanted to check out the video is because multiple images have been circulating all day claiming to be from the video. And when I first saw them, my initial reaction was, these are too crazy to be real. So I had to see the video for myself just to verify everything. I never want to push mis or disinformation on the channel. So even though I didn't watch the whole thing, I did skip around just to make sure that, hey, what I'm about to show you is actually real from this video that, as you heard earlier, the police chief of Minneapolis confirmed exists. Well, Robert Westman scribbled multiple messages all over his weapon. One of them is F optics. Below that, you'll see he wrote "Kill Trump Now," and all over the gun, he wrote the names of mass shooters and terrorists. Here, he wrote McVeigh, an obvious reference to the Oklahoma City bomber. Another place he did write "Kill Donald Trump, rip and tear." Another message was "Release the list," which is an obvious reference to the Epstein files. Now, on this magazine, he wrote "for the children," and then just has a laughter below it, which obviously is really sick. But one of the things which is really odd are the anti-Semitic messages all over his gun. So here you can see "Burn Israel, such is life." I don't know if that's Kanye bread. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. But in another place, he writes, "Israel must fall like a phoenix. We rise from the ashes." He makes a very clear reference to the Holocaust when he wrote 6 million wasn't enough. Now, this one is really sick. He wrote "suck on this," and below that, he wrote the word mashallah, which apparently in Arabic translates to "what God has willed." But that was not the only reference to God. On another magazine, he wrote "Where is your God?" which obviously is very mocking, very derisive, really shows you his intent here. And he even used a picture of Jesus when he was doing target practice. This, again, coming from the video, very sick, very disturbing. The New York Post is the only mainstream news source I've seen confirming this so far. Earlier in the day, I had the TV on in the background, background. I haven't seen any of the cable networks reporting on this. Now, that's not to say that they won't by the time I release this video, but it is really telling to me that they're slow walking reporting on any of these images. But the New York Post confirms trans Minneapolis shooter Robin Westman mused about slaughtering filthy Zionist Jews in Sikh journal before deadly Catholic school massacre. So I think when you take a look at these images that he literally wrote by hand on his weapon, on the magazines that he used to carry out this deadly shooting, it's very clear what frame of mind he was in. Maybe we can't pinpoint a specific motive. And the reason I say that is because his scribblings, his ramblings are all over the place. Did he do this because he hates Donald Trump? Is it because he hates the Jews? Is it because he wants the Epstein list? Is it because he's inspired by mass shooters and terrorists like McVeigh? Now, even if we can't pinpoint one specific reason, we can at least understand his demented worldview. Well, over on MSNBC, they attempted to twist this entire thing. Like I said, the media is sort of ignoring these photos for the moment. Hopefully, they tell the truth. Hopefully, they put this out there because I believe people need to know. They need to understand. If we're going to talk about gun violence, we need to understand what is going on so we can come up with a solution, right? You can't come up with a solution unless you understand the problem. People want to debate whether it's guns or mental illness. Well, I think you need to look at all the factors. And here, he obviously was not in the right frame of mind. But on MSNBC, they tried to excuse all of this as being caused by COVID. Yes, they used COVID as an excuse and video games.
Did they help motivate him and radicalize him to carry out this shooting?
When you use the word radicalize, we tend to think of terror, a more traditional terrorist, something that people came, especially in this country, to seem to be familiar with in the post 9/11 era, right? So when you talk about radicalization, you talk about writings that reference suicide, extremely violent thoughts and ideas, and those multiple videos that are posted online. What do these groups do when you say they radicalize?
So, whether it's a terrorist organization or, the variety of ideologies that different people follow, they're following them because they have susceptibility. There's various push-pull factors. Maybe it's some kind of mental break. Maybe it's their life has, gone down the toilet and they have no hope. Maybe they have bad parenting, a variety of things. The effects of COVID and the isolation and what's called the gamification influence, where young men are growing up, being raised by video games. All of those things are involved in really people mobilizing towards violence more routinely in these things. But you will also see people get radicalized solely on these video games through headsets. They may never go on the internet otherwise. So there's a variety of things that threat professionals look at now and trends, but we're seeing this repeated.
Look, I've played a lot of video games in my time, and I can say without a doubt I have never been radicalized to hate Trump or hate the Jews. I can't think, even when I played Halo, which is obviously a very violent game, there was no sort of political messaging in there. So I have no idea how they're even coming to that conclusion, let alone pushing it to all of their viewers. Well, over on the New York Post, they've actually published portions of the manifesto. The deranged gunman mused about assassinating President Trump and Jews, but ultimately decided that the killing of innocent civilians would bring him, quote, the most joy, the translated journal entries read. Now, it's important, a lot of it is in English, but a lot of it is in another language, so that's why they reference the translation there. For good would be a target or political or societal significance, targets like Musk, Trump, or some significant executive, Westman wrote. I can't really put my finger on a specific purpose. It definitely won't be for racism or white supremacy. He also wrote, while I don't really like being around people of color, I don't give enough of a expletive about them to take my life for them. Now, he references taking his life multiple times because he was suicidal and he didn't want to go out without doing something big. So he wrote, quote, "I don't want to do it, suicide, to spread a message. I do it to please myself. I do it because I am sick. I don't think I could just take myself out. I would need to do something with my final act." Now, he obviously wrote racist things all over the gun and the magazines, but in his manifesto, he wrote, "If I will carry out a racially motivated attack, it would be most likely against filthy Zionist Jews. I hate those entitled penny-sniffing, I don't even know what this word is, and I, quite frankly, don't ever want to learn that slur." So with all of that being said, it is really interesting that he decided, it wasn't just Jews, by the way, he also called out Indians. So he called out Jews, he called out Indians, he called out President Trump, Elon Musk, executives, like, there were so many other targets. Why did he choose a Catholic school? We don't currently know. We may never know, but they have revealed that his mother apparently works for the school. So in my previous video, I showed a clip of the mayor of Minneapolis rejecting thoughts and prayer during a press conference in the immediate aftermath of this horrific event. Well, things are actually even crazier than that, if you can believe it. Over on CNN, Dana Bash was speaking with Amy Klobuchar, and she talked about how she got a chill up her spine when she listened to him basically saying no thoughts, no prayers. But before I show that clip, I would like to thank and acknowledge RL1401. Thank you again so much. And Jeremy 2001 Happy as the members of today's Governor's Club. These are people who give tips and super thanks to the channel. I'm so glad that you enjoy and I'm thankful for your support. And just a note for everyone moving forward, I'm only going to update this list once a day. There's been just some confusion on my end. I think some of it's also been YouTube's system. And so I think this will make sure that everyone gets acknowledged and hopefully will prevent anyone from getting overlooked. Now, without further ado, here is just a bonkers segment between Bash and Klobuchar.
Yeah, it sure is. Senator, you mentioned that I know that you want to let law enforcement take the lead here, but you just mentioned that you believe that this individual had some kind of grievance not even related to the school. Is there anything else you can share?
Not really. I just think that they have to get to the bottom of this. As you know, with these scenes, from covering so many of them, that there'll be rumors and then they're not true and then you figure it out. But I think this image of this gunman shooting through these windows, picking off these kids while they're praying, is something that is going to be with people for a long time. When you think about guns and you think about, as the mayor said, thoughts and prayers just aren't enough here right now. Because these kids were actually praying.
Yeah, I do want to listen to that because that sent chills up my spine. I'm sure everybody's spine when they heard the mayor say that. Let's listen to that moment.
And don't just say this is about thoughts and prayers right now. These kids were literally praying. It was the first week of school. They were in a church. These are kids that should be learning with their friends. They should be playing on the playground. They should be able to go to school or church in peace without the fear or risk of violence, and their parents should have the same kind of assurance. These are the sort of basic assurances that every family should have, every step of the day, regardless of where they are in our country.
I mean, he's expressing something that I know you feel and most people feel, which is a combination of sadness, but raw rage. Forget about thoughts and prayers. These kids were literally praying when they were murdered through a church window.
It's unbelievable. And just, you know, Jacob, the mayor, and his wife Sarah just had a second baby. So I know he knows this just gutturally of how this feels, to think of your own children in that situation. And I think part of what he's getting at here is that there's thoughts and prayers, and then the law enforcement does their job well, and hospitals do their job well, and they save some lives, and people are injured. But there's a whole room of those kids in that church that are going to never forget what happened, that hopefully they'll be able to get through it in their own lives. But you think of that in other mass shootings, it's the immediate death, it's the immediate family, but then it's a whole community. And ultimately, it's an entire nation that has to grapple with the fact of we have too many guns out there right now. And there's all kinds of policy things that we could do that would still preserve people's right to hunt, people's right to collect guns, people's that care about guns for sport and guns for protection. But at some point, when you see these innocent kids praying in a church and they get gunned down by a madman, you have to step back and think, what can we do better? What can we do better with background checks or with assault weapons, which may not have played into this situation? But every situation is different. And there are a number of things we can do that would not hurt law-abiding gun owners, of which there are so many in my state and in our country. And so it does get you to that. But right now, in our state, we're just mourning for these families. We're mourning for those kids that were in there that may have survived but will never be the same. And we are supporting our law enforcement and our hospitals. And there's right now some doctors and nurses that are sitting in an operating room with a little kid trying to save them from a shot in the stomach or a shot in the neck. And that's what we think of viscerally now. But to just let it go there and say thoughts and prayers is no longer enough.
I think that right there is totally misrepresenting what people say when they say thoughts and prayers. When people say thoughts and prayers, they are literally sending out condolences. They're showing their emotional support. I have not heard anyone ever use thoughts and prayers as a solution to the gun violence in America. I think it is a total misrepresentation of what's happening. They misrepresent what people mean when they say that, and then in the next breath, they talk about gun control. It's not just Klobuchar. Chuck Schumer was already talking about it, multiple Democrats. And I sort of referenced it in my previous video about how the left is already politicizing, and you can tell they're already going out there talking about gun control. But the reality is that Republicans, conservatives, and even independents have been pushing for other solutions. One of the easy ones, obviously, would be more security at school. A lot of this does come down to culture. It's not as if the number of guns in the country has increased, and especially when you take a look at it in terms of per capita. Something has changed in our culture, in our society, in we as human beings that has led to this rise. And then you take a look at this specific situation. You take a look at what happened in Nashville at Covenant. Other places. I'm not even going to say it on YouTube because they police language on here, but I think people maybe know what I'm hinting at. Another solution would be bulletproof windows. Klobuchar talked about how they got shot through the windows. I mean, you don't even need the thick bulletproof glass. They now have very high quality laminates that don't really change. You don't even know it's on your windows, and they work just as good as the bulletproof glass. And in fact, this has been proposed in multiple school districts around the country. Now, some schools do have them, some universities do have them, but in others, it's been shot down. People don't want it because they only want to talk about people are getting upset that I'm politicizing this, but people do want to talk about gun control. And I believe that's unfair. And I think when people slam thoughts and prayers, it is a purposeful misrepresentation because they want to act as if one side, one half of the country doesn't want to do anything about this. And that is just not true. As always, though, always only my analysis, just my commentary. And I would truly like to hear from you. So in regards to thoughts and prayers, that was sort of the key point of last video. And then obviously we're ending on this note. What do you think about that? Do you think people are misrepresenting what people mean when they say thoughts and prayers? Do you think people are actually saying it because they're sending out condolences, showing support? Do you think people are using thoughts and prayers as a Band-Aid instead of actually looking at solutions? I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Am I reading too much into it? Am I being too political? Honestly, I don't mind when people disagree. I've always said that openly on this channel. It is a free country. Free country means free speech, and ultimately free speech means free opinion, free train of thought, and I truly would like to hear from you. If you haven't already, please be sure to smash that subscribe button and to check out one of these videos.